Step right up, folks. You're now entering It's a Circus, where parenting isn't always a show-stopping act, but it's certainly entertaining. I'm your host, Elsa, here to prove that no one really knows what they're doing, and that's perfectly fine. Let's have some real conversations, peel back the layers, and remind you that you're never alone in the madness. Let's get the show rolling. I am so excited to get into this episode, and I kind of want to preface this by saying this is one of those moments where I am reconnecting with someone that I worked with a long time ago. And a fair warning, there's a lot of fangirling in this episode. And part of me wanted to take it out, but I left it in. And it's a little uncomfortable for me to leave it in because we're, congratulating each other and high-fiving each other and all those good things. And even though I'm a little uncomfortable, I am leaving it in because I think it's important to have an example of women celebrating women. And I think it fits into the flow of our entire conversation and relationship. And so that's part of it. And you'll see that throughout this entire conversation, which I think is very special. Margi and her story is awesome. First off, she's a mother of 4. 2 boys and then twins, a boy and a girl. And I met her when she had a job at the beginning of my career with the company I was working with. And she had 1 child and would become pregnant with the second one. I was her manager through that time. And clearly I had no idea what she was handling. But she talks about that time and being a young mom. And then she talks about the birth that she had with her twins, which was an emergency birth and kind of medical system advocating for yourself. That experience really kickstarted her entrepreneurial mission. And the first business that she has opened and since closed was called Take 12. And she talks about that. It was a platform for people to support and give more time to moms. She experienced an emergency birth, but was unable to take the mat leave that she needed or that she felt that she needed. So she was on a mission to change that. And she's still on a mission. And her new company, Viiq, which you're going to hear about too, is very exciting and really fits her path forward. It's an honor to have her come in and talk about all of those life changes and life decisions that she has gone through. I find it incredibly inspiring, as I know you will too. So let me read her bio to you and we will get into it. Meet Margi, the founder of CEO of Viiq, a women's wellness brand harnessing the efficiency of botanicals for perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. With an MBA from St. Catherine's and 15 years of corporate leadership experience, Margi established herself as a business growth strategist before founding Viiq in September 2024. Based outside of Minneapolis, where she lives with her husband and 4 children and 3 dogs, Margi launched Viiq to market in February 2025. Her vision is twofold: to change perceptions around cannabis as a legitimate symptom management solution and to foster meaningful conversations about perimenopause and menopause. Margi firmly believes this transformative life stage can be navigated with dignity and wellness without unnecessary discomfort. Through Viiq, she created both innovative products and a supportive community for women embracing this powerful transition. And we go there. This is the longest episode that I've put out so far. So you'll get through it. It's a good time. I laughed and I cried as I was editing this. And again, fair warning, lots of fangirling, lots of fun celebration moments in this episode. So without further ado, here's Margi. Welcome, Margi, to It's a Circus podcast.
Say, oh my gosh.
I'm crying. I almost just cried. I've been looking forward to this chat for a very, very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And though I didn't.
No, the fact that we haven't done this sooner is insane to me. And when you asked me, hey, do you want to come on the pod and chat? I was like, I don't think I've ever wanted anything more in my whole life.
I mean, likewise.
Yeah.
Likewise. And truly, I've been counting down the days so I can chat with you because I'm dying to go in deep. But I do think maybe we should give a little review as to how we know each other, because I think it's been over a decade
It has at least been over a decade. Yes. Because we met 16 years ago. I have a 16-year-old.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Little Charlie was 1 years old, 1 year
Oh
old,
my
single
God.
year when we started working together
Mm-hmm.
at Bare Essentials in the cosmetics
Mm-hmm.
industry. And
Mm-hmm.
so you don't know this, but I
Oh
have to tell you, and this is going to make me emotional because I can't help you, but
my God,
I
stop.
I honestly, so I don't know if you remember when you came into our store, and I won't share too many details, but you, over the course of my career, I have told the Elsa story so many times, and you, like, as a model of leadership, I'm not even kidding. Like, this is going to sound intense. I should have practiced. But not kidding. Like, you, like, taught me how to lead in business.
Mm.
And I carried that experience with me through my whole career. Every team I've ever led, every project I've ever done, I had never seen someone step into a situation of crisis 100% authentically as themselves, no apologies, and just be like, okay, this is how we're moving forward. And the way that you created a safe space in 2.5 seconds and empowered that whole group of ladies. And then we were like the number one store in the universe for the whole. So I'm sure your listeners don't understand like what a badass you are as business leadership goes, but I'm not kidding. And then I worked in like a male dominated industry for 13 years. And I was like, no, this is like, I was like, what would Elsa do?
Okay, one, I want to like sob my eyes out because that's seriously so sweet and so nice.
It's
And
truth. It is the truth.
oh,
And you need to hear
thanks,
it.
babe.
Yeah. And I think of that,
I
like,
love
I
it.
think of, and like B and E and A, we named all of our coworkers by the first letter, their names. But like when you came in, you remember all of our faces. We had all been through the ringer, and you were just like,
I
"Okay,"
know.
you were like Mary Poppins, like, let's switch this up. We're not doing this. It was amazing. So yeah, you're the best, and you're such a badass. And I'm so honored
Thanks,
to be
babe.
reconnected with you at this part in our journey.
Ugh. Okay, I'm literally crying right now. Thank you so much. And I'm sobbing my eyes out if you can't see, but internally I am crying because that is like my dream come true. That would only ever be my dream is to
Well, you did it a long time ago.
leave
Yeah, you
a
made a
little
big
sparkle.
impression on a whole lot of us,
Oh my
and
God.
I mean, I'm not kidding. Like, so many teams that I've led where it's like it's a tricky situation because of the dynamic. This is not different than parenting, right? Like everyone has their
Right.
own individual personality, their own emotional state coming to a situation, and to be able to be the lighthouse in the middle of it and just be
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, you guys like storm around
Mm-hmm.
me. This is the direction we're going. You're allowed
Mm-hmm.
feelings, but here's how it's going to be, and you're allowed to be yourself, and
Yeah.
this is it, like where there's just no need to panic. It's big. You left a
Oh
big
my
big
God.
impression. Can I drink
Ugh,
this on here?
of course. Um, you
And
can drink whatever you want on here. Please.
protein
Oh
shake.
my
Those
God.
fancy.
I love it. Yeah, we can't all get enough protein. Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. And for you, I mean,
Yeah.
what an amazing time we had together. And to be able to give back in a way at just the very small snippet blink of your insane, amazing career that you've already done and accomplished. I mean,
No,
that's
set the
pretty
tone.
amazing.
It set the tone. And even just like sales. I mean, I just remember
Mm-hmm.
a woman sitting in a makeup chair is
Mm-hmm.
such a vulnerable position.
Mm-hmm.
We had just created this space that you really empowered where like women could come in and tell us their life. Like honestly, they were telling us their life stories in those chairs.
No, totally.
And it was like we were actually making their lives better, like one eyeshadow at a time. And
I
that
know.
is sales. Like that's the definition
Yeah.
of real, authentic, like effective sales. So yeah, I've carried all of that with me.
And now you're like a founder, but I feel like you've been a founder all over the place.
Yeah.
I feel like you've started lots of things.
Yeah, as we do, right? It's like,
Yes. No, and I mean that as a
no.
total compliment
Yeah.
because I think birthing anything outside of children, well, in addition to children, I should say, is takes a very special personality and person, and you are definitely that like lighthouse. So I need to get into the details now.
Yeah.
So,
Details.
okay,
Let's do it.
details.
And starting at because first of all, I love the conversations you're having on this podcast and the mothering
Thank you.
piece. Think back to when we met and I had like a little boo-boo 1-year-old at home. And I remember like children were the furthest thing from your mind in conversation. You're like, I don't know.
Seriously.
Like Peter, the cat, was your sweet
R.I.P.
name.
I know.
Little Pete. But I just remember being like, holy crap, this is crazy. Like parenting was insane, but I was such a baby too. I had Charlie when I was 23.
I know. I want to talk about that because I had my first baby at 38.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like completely flabbergasted of how intense and insane it all is. I can't even imagine what you were going through. And honestly, that sentiment in general is personal to you because we had a working relationship and I had no clue what was going on. But it is also universal because there are friends that I've had that I've just been like, oh, it's okay. Like, you got this. And it's just not that. It just is not that.
Yeah, no,
it is not that.
Nobody's got it.
Nobody's got it. And like, it is so freaking wild. So I can't imagine. And that's why I'm dying to get your point of view and talk about where you are now and all of that good stuff. So one of the things I start out with is what are your mom stats? So give us like how long have you been a mom? How many kiddos do you have? All that good stuff.
Yeah.
Because you have an army at this point.
I have well beyond a basketball team of like with all of us included. So I have 4 kids and I got pregnant with Charlie at 22. I had my first kid at 23. So Charlie is 16 and then I have a 14-year-old and twin 9-year-olds. On one of your other episodes, someone said it feels like it's been, 5,000 years. And she's like, I have like a 3-year-old and it feels like I've been a parent for like a billion years. And I can definitely relate to that statement. I will say the years, what do they say? The days are long and the years are short.
Yeah.
Holy crap. It's like, I cannot believe I have a 16-year-old and he's like a cool human that I want to hang out with. And it's awesome. But like, he's going to be 17 this summer, which is unreal.
That is unreal.
Yeah. When your little boys become men, like it doesn't make sense. And it goes so fast. So fast. It's unreal.
It's so crazy. So growing up, did you always want to be a mom? Or is this something how did that process happen?
I did. I always like played with baby dolls and we would play house and like, of course I was always the working mom. I used to have like one of those single seat beanbag chairs and I would like set it up with a laundry basket in front of me with like a crutch coming through and a Frisbee. Like I'd take my car and I would like get into my car with my purse and like throw the keys and like I had the whole moment.
I love it.
Driving to work was like a goal of
That's incredible.
but of course there were kids at home. And I remember even in college being like, I really want to have kids young. It was something that I realized about I was like, I want to have kids. And I didn't know what that was going to look like. But at the time, like Angelina Jolie was adopting kids, like she had a son that she had adopted.
Yeah.
She was raising him by herself. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. Like, I don't need a partner in this. I can just,
yeah.
So those thoughts were already there of I wanted to start a family sooner than later. It was a surprise when it happened with Charlie. But then I was like, okay, Like, it was like, this makes sense, and everything happens for a reason, and, of course, I was living in New York at the time, and so to be
Mhm.
23 and pregnant in New York, my friends all thought that I had just been, like, diagnosed with some sort of terminal illness. Like,
I can only imagine.
I'm like, that night, my kitchen was filled with my friends, and, like, half of them are sobbing, and they're like, "We're gonna get you through this," you know? I'm like, "Guys, I think people have been doing this since the beginning of time, but."
Yeah.
And so then I had Gus a couple years later. Charlie was just turned 3, right? 3 years apart, 2 years apart? I don't know. Every time I see your boys, though, I think of Charlie and Gus at those ages.
Oh my god, I know you DM'd me that, and I was like, I am obsessed with that. That would be my dream.
It's the best. Like, and it is
Mm.
so hard. Like, when they're so little, it's so hard, and then in hindsight,
Mhm.
you're like that to me is the hardest thing about motherhood in general, is, like,
Mhm.
in the moment, you're so like,
Yeah,
it's so
I
exhausting,
know.
and there's so much going on mentally in your own like, it's because 'cause you're still yourself, you're still your own individual person. Your
Mhm.
whole life does not revolve around these beings the way that, like, society depicts it should be or something. And
Right.
so there's a lot of, like, let's just get through the day, like, let's just survive this
Yeah.
kind of or at least in my behavior. It was like, "Okay, we gotta do this and
Mhm.
this and this, we got work, and there's so much to balance." And then 5 years down the road, you look back at pictures of that time, and you're like, "They
Yes.
were so sweet," and, like, it was
Yes.
such a sweet time, and, like, those snuggles and the things that they would say that I'm like, "Oh, I should write all this down. No, there's no way I'll forget." You forget all of it, like, it's
Yes.
and so I think that's the hardest thing, like, even the other day was just looking at pictures of the twins, and I'm like, I would do anything to go back to 2020 because, like, I just feel like we were
Oh
all
my god.
robbed of that chunk of time because it was, I had a sales team that I had to furlough everyone, and so I was, like, working
Yeah.
round the clock constantly on Zooms. They're all
Oh,
I'm supposed to be homeschooling them? I don't know anything like,
right.
please get out of the room while I'm on the phone.
Right.
You're like, "Oh my gosh, why did I push them away?" Like, but because you had to, right? Like, I just was
Yeah.
snuggled all day long for an entire year, and
Oh my god.
it's tough, like, being in the moment and also not giving yourself a hard time for realizing that you can't just it's not the picture that you look at 5 years later
Yeah.
is not the reality. It's just the memory of that time, and so the regret or the
Yes.
guilt or whatever, it's kind of a mind game.
You're so right. I mean, I've said this a million times. I'm like, thank God I take pictures because
Yeah.
I will look at a picture and I will remember like either the immense exhaustion or like I'm really upset about something. Like I will truly remember those feelings. But I look at that picture and I'm like, oh, thank God I took that picture
Mm,
in the midst of the
totally,
whatever you're going through because looking back, it is so wonderful to like to see them
totally.
and be like, "Okay, like, I was there. I was having a real moment, but, like,
Right.
I still was there. Look at I'm in the picture, and look at these babies." Like, thank God for that.
And in a way, even as you're saying that, I think one of the things that we can do is, like, parent ourselves in those moments. Like, when you're right, when I look at those
Yeah.
pictures and I see myself 8 years
Yeah.
ago when I had twin one-year-olds, I do feel empathy for that person. I'm like,
Mhm.
"Hey, I just and you're right, I remember the way I would feel, I remember being
Mhm.
exhausted, I remember, like, probably having too much wine that night because I just was, like, trying
Mhm.
to desperately to relax
Cope.
and
Yes.
be in the
Mhm.
and just being like, "You did great," to that person.
Mhm.
Like, you did the best you could do, and also look at how much you're enjoying that little snuggle. That's worth it.
Mm. Yeah.
So
I know. I love that. So, okay. So you get pregnant early.
mhm.
Now, are you married at this point? Are you not? Does this change the trajectory of your life? Like, tell me like that piece.
Yeah, totally. So Chris and I, been together for 2 years and then broke up for 2 years and then got back together. So we were engaged, and then we we were living in New York, and it was like the second I got pregnant, the idea of living in New York changed for me almost overnight. It was like my relationship
Right.
to the city changed, and I was
Mhm.
like, I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine pushing a stroller on the subway.
Mhm.
Like, none of it made sense anymore.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so we moved to Minnesota because that's where Chris is from.
Mhm.
And he like, I was, like, acting in New York, and he was modeling. Like, it was just like we were living a more bohemian lifestyle. I
Yes.
don't know, it's dumb,
As you do.
for lack of a better description. And so he had contracting work that he could do in Minnesota. He had experience as a roofer and a builder with his dad. And so we were like, that makes sense. We want like a backyard for our child. And so we got married in the spring, and Charlie was born in the summer. And I was like the first of my friends. I think that I might have actually just been the first of my friends, other than Chris's sisters were both of his sisters had newborns. So that was helpful to be,
Oh, I bet.
because they
Oh,
were
thank
my
goodness.
only people my age who were also having babies. Like, none of my friends from back
Right.
east were in that stage yet. And I will say, I remember there was not really, 2008, social media was not what it is. There was like
No.
Facebook, but there were not groups. Like, there was not this like
Mhm.
community of moms to be found.
Mhm.
And
Oh, man.
yeah, I remember like being in the bathtub and reading like Fit Pregnancy. And I think it was the same year that Jessica Alba launched The Honest Company. Cause so like I was having babies and Jessica Alba was having babies. And like we
Love
went
that.
through this trip.
Dude, I have celebs like that too. I have actually I have Instagram people that I'm like, okay, if she can do it randomly from afar, this
Right.
glorified person, I've got
I've
this.
got this. Yeah. And I remember reading like what was her, The Belly Laughs, Jenny McCarthy's book.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yes,
And I
that's such a time.
Totally. It was the early 2000s. So, I was young, but I knew nothing. I guess the other side to that is that I didn't have anyone freaking me out. Like, I didn't know
Yeah.
anything. And
Yeah.
so, and my mom was an OB nurse for her whole career. And so everything I was getting from her was just like, you can do
Wow.
this. Your body's built for this. You know what to do. You'll
Mhm.
know what to do. And so into that labor, I'm just going to do this naturally. Like, why not? I don't know. It was very much between.
Wow.
I was used a midwife, but gave birth in the hospital with the midwife. And I was like, I just want to see if I can do this. Because I think mostly because I just didn't really know any better. And I had watched
Right.
Ricky Lake had come out with The Business of Being Born that year
Oh.
too, which is a really good
Mhm.
documentary about childbirth and how we've medicalized it. I don't know, that's
Yes.
over the years, and how historically we've always given birth with a midwife and a doula and kind of the wisdom of
Mhm.
women. And
Yes.
really with the immigration of midwives from Europe to the United States, it kind of all fell apart and became like a very hospitalized experience.
Right.
And so, like, even in the 50s, women were like strapped to the bed and like sedated during childbirth. So I got nerdy on that. I'm like just remembering this now as we're talking about it. I got kind of nerdy on the
I
idea of
love it.
like natural childbirth. Can I actually do this?
Wait, so did you?
Yeah. Well, so yeah, my kind of. So my water broke, but my labor never started with Charlie.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was just one of those gut instincts. And then also our
Mhm.
dog was acting really weird. And I was like,
Mhm.
think I don't think I'm peeing my pants. Like, I think there's like water. I think there's like water. And I was a Friday afternoon. So the midwife office was going to close. And I was like, let's just go get this checked out, like at the last hour. And they took a sample and they were like, yeah, that's amniotic fluid. Like, your water broke and you're not in labor. So we have to take you to
Mhm.
the hospital and put you on
Oh, right.
antibiotics, because
Yep.
once that happens, there's a window of like
Right.
infection or whatever. I don't. And so I was like, okay, well, then what? And they're like, well, then we're going to have to induce you.
Oh, man.
Okay. And so they did like the cervical gels overnight
Mhm.
happened. And they're like, so we're going to have to start Pitocin.
Yep.
And they're like, we know you wanted a natural birth. Most people get an epidural once Pitocin starts because it's like manufactured contractions and it
Yep.
will really hurt.
Yep.
And I was like, no, I'll just try it without an epidural.
Oh
So
my
I had
gosh.
15 hours of Pitocin-induced labor. And after, and so it was like 48 hours from like start to finish of, because I mean, a lot of it was not active labor, but 15 hours of active Pitocin-induced labor. And
Wow.
I was able to do it without an
Without an epidural.
yeah.
Oh my god.
I did. There was a moment at the end, like when I was
Yeah.
Marianne and we're in Minnesota, and so I had like this cute little like Midwestern midwife, and she was like
Yeah.
super sweet and an older woman, and I was like, I like just take me into the bathroom, like I just need to like sit on, like, so you have all these different
Yes.
experiences when you're like when the
Yep.
baby's moving down the birth control or good Lord, birth canal. So I'm sitting in there and I looked at Chris like dead in the eye and I was like, I just want you to know I'm going to die.
Oh my, yeah.
I'm like, you're going to raise this baby by yourself. It's going to be
Margi.
amazing. Like I gave him a pep talk, like on the toilet.
Oh my god.
I'm going to die. Like I'm actively dying in this, and I'm
Yes.
not gonna make it. And he's okay. And so he like went out of the bathroom to this midwife, and he's like, okay, what the fuck? She just said she's gonna die. What is happening? And she's like, oh, that's a good sign. That means she's probably close to transition. And that means
Oh.
she's probably ready to start pushing. And he just was like, I gotta go like smoke a cigarette or something. We're like a couple of babies, like in the
Totally.
having a baby, and we didn't anything. And she was right. I was going from 7 centimeters to 10 in that moment.
Whew.
And my whole
Yeah, it's
body
tough.
was like, this is it. This is the end. And then pushing's amazing. Nobody talks about how amazing it is to finally get to pushing. But I was like, well, I can do this.
Right.
And there he was. And it was like, I'll never forget like that first moment when they put the baby on your chest. And it's like, I always tell pregnant moms this, like, I'm like, there's this like moment of recognition where you're like, oh, I know you. Because you like can't imagine what they're gonna look like and what
Yeah.
is it gonna be like? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, you, yes. I wasn't expecting it to feel like recognizing something.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, that's such a good way to describe it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, of course you look like that. There you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that is the one thing I would say to anyone out there who's in their early 20s and pregnant.
Yeah,
It's awesome to give birth in your early 20s
I bet.
because your body can just my endurance was through the roof, There's no way, absolutely no way I could have gone through that same birth experience at this age.
So, okay, so did you have an epidural for any of your babies? And like, how was the second one compared to the first one? And then twins? Like,
Yeah.
how does all of that like work together?
Yeah, it's insane. So, with Gus, I was super cocky because of what I had
Really? Okay.
really,
Yeah.
what I had, like what we had gone through. Oh, and I had back labor with Charlie too. That's the other thing. So I had no epidural, Pitocin, back labor. And so Chris was like holding me under my armpits between each contraction because I would just like my legs were collapsing. So, I mean, it was like a total teamwork situation. With Gus, I was like, okay, I've done this. I can do it again. My labor started naturally and I had 12 hours of like slowly progressing labor, right? Like I went through my day.
Yeah.
And I was having rhythmic contractions, but nothing super intense and so like I was like, okay, we went to the Galleria at Southdale. And I'm like, "Mom, we need to walk. Like, let's walk this baby
Mhm.
out." Like, and I was walking the night before. I was like, "We're gonna this," because I had a lot of like, that's right, I had a lot of like false labor with Gus.
Okay.
I was working at, we had just opened a new
Yep.
like store location, and I would get these Braxton Hicks that I thought was
Mhm.
labor because I didn't go into labor the first time. So I kept
Right.
going to the midwife and they're like, "No, nothing's happening. They're just practice contractions." And I got really frustrated. Like I got in that kind of
Ugh.
defeatist head mindset where I'm like, this baby's never
Yeah.
coming. I'm going to be pregnant for the rest of my life. And
I mean, you really feel like that in the end.
you really feel like that. Like
Mhm.
it is a weird, like no one can convince you. They're like, "No, this
Mhm.
happened." It's like, "Nope, this is it.
Mhm.
This is my destiny."
Mhm.
So it was a lot of walking. And then that morning I woke up and it was like I was having contractions. So I'm like, "Okay, we gotta walk, gotta do this." Charlie came home, we took him to swim lessons. I'm like, "Let's go out to Mexican, like let's do all the things." And we were at dinner, I started having contractions that I couldn't speak through. So I was like, "Okay,
Mm.
now I'm in labor. This is
Yeah.
real." And they weren't close enough together, so we went home.
Mhm.
My parents were in town. Chris had friends over to play poker,
Oh my gosh.
drinking beer, and I was, like, in the bathtub, like, having, and so then it got to, like, midnight, and I was like, "Okay, we need to go to the hospital." And so this was after on a like, a full day, 12 plus hours, right? I woke up at 9 a.m.
Wow.
probably and was the whole day. Got to the hospital, and I was only at a 3. And I was like, "Oh my god, please don't send me home. I can't, please don't."
Mm-mm.
They're like, "We're not gonna send you home, but we do need to, like, keep you moving." And so then I labored for another, like, so it was midnight and Gus was born at 9 a.m.
Wow.
And so the labor was much, it was much more intense almost because it wasn't regulated. Like with the Pitocin, it was like very
Yeah.
mathematical. Okay, here's
Yep.
this contraction, here's my rest time, here it comes again.
Mhm.
So with Gus, it was like just my body and I, and it was a lot. And there was a moment, again, you get in that super focused headspace. And my midwife was like, "Okay, your uterus is tired. Like your contractions
Mhm.
aren't doing anything anymore. You're kind of stuck at like a 6 or
Oh.
whatever." And I was like,
Mhm.
"I don't think I'm gonna make it. Like, I don't think I can do that."
Right.
And she was like, "Let's do a little bit of Pitocin." And then I went right, it was almost like a PTSD. I was like, "I
Yep.
can't do 15 hours of Pitocin. I can't do it again. Like, I can't
Right.
on top of everything I've just done." She's like, "Your body has done this before. It will not
Mhm.
be 15 hours of Pitocin again.
Mhm.
Probably only be like 20 or 30 minutes just to get you from where you are now to like being able
Mhm.
to push." And I couldn't digest what she was saying. So we had that conversation for like, she was like, "Margie, you can keep doing this, or we can give your body the support it needs." And I
Yeah.
still had an epidural, which I'm not against epidurals. Like in hindsight, I'm like, I don't know why. It was just like the devil I knew versus the devil I didn't or something. Like I just,
Yeah. No, no, no. That makes sense.
and so they ended up, I was like, "Okay, we'll do the Pitocin." And they gave me Pitocin and 20 minutes later I was pushing.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes I think it's mental too.
no, it was 100% mental.
Yeah.
It was all mental.
Yeah.
I was physically
Yep.
stuck. I was mentally
Yep.
even more stuck because I was,
Yep.
and because your whole body is like in fight or flight, right?
Mhm.
You're in this active near death experience, according to your
Yep.
body. That's not what's actually happening, right? But
Right.
so then for your mind to try to digest new information, I was
Oh, yeah.
like, I think you're just gonna have to, I think you're just gonna have to take me out. I'm not gonna get through this. And then with the twins was an interesting experience. It was a traumatic birth.
Okay.
I was very sick at the beginning of the pregnancy. I was with Charlie too, and this was before Princess Kate went through it, so, like, nobody knew that, like, hyperemesis where you're like
Yes.
so I had that with Charlie. I was just normal nausea and vomiting with Gus, and then I had it again with the twins. I had to go for like IVs at the beginning.
Oh my
A lot. I just drive myself to the emergency room like once a week for some IVs because I couldn't keep water down. So I lost weight at the beginning of that pregnancy. Fast forward to the end, and I started feeling fast forward to 34 weeks, and I started feeling just like crap. And, unfortunately, in Western medicine, especially, we have an issue with not listening to women.
Yeah, of course.
And one of the mortality rate is very high in this country, unfortunately. And I went into the doctor and I was like, I don't feel well. Like something's off. And oh, it's normal. It's you're pregnant with twins. You had morning sickness at the beginning. Sometimes it can come back at the end. Okay. All right, I can take that. And because I was having twins and I was working with a midwife, they had me meet with an OB in the case of needing a surgical birth because the probability is just higher.
Yeah.
And so when you try to get into a new doctor, you have to wait, right? So like I scheduled an appointment 2 weeks out from when I called. We're like, we can get you in 2 weeks to meet who we would assign as your OB. Okay. So I woke up for that appointment that morning, and by the grace of God, I had vertigo. Like I couldn't walk, I couldn't drive. I was like, Chris, I need you to like drive me to this doctor's appointment. I can't. I don't know, something's off. And so I got to the appointment. I ended up meeting with a nurse practitioner, and I'm like, something's wrong. I'm not okay. Like I've had morning sickness come back or whatever, and like something else is going on. And they check your blood pressure and they check the babies, and that's pretty much, and they check your urine if they're really concerned, but they're like, everything's fine, you're good. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not good. Like the babies, sure, are fine. My blood pressure's fine. I'm telling you something's wrong. And I had basically like a sit-in protest at the doctor's office because I was like, I've done this before. This is my third pregnancy. Like I know something's wrong. And so we just kind of stared at each other because she was like, eat more protein, drink more water. And I was like, nope,
Stop.
I'm not leaving. And she's like, okay, let's do a full blood panel. I'm like, cool. Yeah, because that takes no time and costs $0. So that would be great. Let's do that. And then she sent me home. She says, when this comes back, we'll have a full picture and like we'll make sure that everything's okay. So that was good enough for me. That night I went home, woke up in the middle of the night, wrenched in sweat. Like I had jumped in a swimming pool.
Oh my God.
Projectile vomiting. Oh, I don't feel like uncontrollable. Called the doctor the next morning and said, this is what's going on. Okay, we're going to send you in for fetal monitoring to the hospital. Went to the hospital, had someone else drive me, and they plugged up all the things and sampled urine again. Everything was fine. You're good. The babies look great. You really just need to eat more protein and drink more water.
Stop it.
My blood test hadn't come back yet to that. So Chris picked me up from the hospital. They sent me home. And it was in the middle of review season at work. So I was just carrying my laptop everywhere I was going, like, and I just went upstairs. I'm like, I have to sleep. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. I have to go to sleep. Went upstairs and then woke up to Chris, like, screaming in our.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, what's going on? The doctor had gotten into the office that day and got my blood tests back. And I was in, like, full-blown liver failure and kidney failure. And
oh my God,
Chris, and was like, are you Margi Scott's husband? And he's like, who are you? Like, who is this? This is your doctor. You've never met me. Like, but I just got her blood test back. She needs to be at the hospital right now. She goes, pick her up. She's like, well, she's at home sleeping. She's like, go get her, put her in the car, and I'll meet you at the hospital. I'm on my.
Oh my God.
And so he's like, Margi, you have to wake up. And little did I know I was like actively like slipping into a coma. Like
what?
Global sleep was like, it's crazy. So he gets me to the hospital. I'm like, bring my computer, like so tired.
Oh my
And
gosh.
we meet her there, and she's like, what I see on this piece of paper is not
Mm-hmm.
see in front of me looking at you. We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
take another blood test because either there's been a horrible mistake or like we got to move fast. And so they did another blood test, and my numbers, so like I guess like your liver enzyme numbers, which should be like around like 45, which could still be considered.
Mm-hmm.
On that first blood test, we're at like a 600. And then the second blood test they took was at 800. She goes, you should be in a coma right now. Like, she's like, you, if you, and a lot of this we unpacked after the fact, right? Like, this is
Uh-huh.
in the moment, but so they like brought in the head of anesthesiology and the head whatever, and they had a meeting outside my room, and they're like, we think you're in acute fatty liver of pregnancy, and like the only way to stop what's happening to your organs right now is to deliver these babies. So
Oh my
like
gosh.
in the pregnancy, which thank God we were at 34 weeks and 5 days, but like
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those situations where it's like
Wow,
mother's
wow,
life
wow, wow,
or
wow.
the really everyone's life at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so they ran my bed down the hall and
Mm-hmm.
putting in the epidural, like as they were laying me down, and like got the babies out as soon as possible. They got, and like that was like a 15-minute process once they realized what I had. It was really fast. And that night, Chris was supposed to go to Wisconsin for a photo shoot for some new hotel or something. So what's really hard is like the boys would have gotten off the bus from school,
Mm-hmm.
snuggled into bed with me like we had been doing for a lot of nights because I was so sick,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
been on their little iPads, and we all would have
Mm-hmm.
sleep together, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like you probably would not have woken up in the next 12 hours.
Oh my.
And if I hadn't advocated for myself,
For yourself. Right.
that is exactly how that would have, and just like God's timing, honestly, because like that
Yeah.
I had that appointment on the books for the exact that I
Yes.
woke up feeling the worst I had, like all the timing was
Mm-hmm.
really divine. And what's crazy, and for other moms out there who are pregnant with twins, one of the things that's really intense is that they'll say like, do you want to try for a vaginal birth or do you want to schedule a C-section? And
Right.
that might sound like an easy decision,
Mm-hmm.
but when you've had two vaginal births before and when you consider all,
Mm-hmm.
it just was like really difficult for me. And so
Of course.
I had sat with a woman from our church who had twins, and I was like, I don't know how to make this choice. Like, I don't know why
Mm-hmm.
it's so difficult, but I'm really struggling. She goes, then she's like, pray that you don't have to make a decision.
Interesting.
And that's what
Yeah.
I really meditated on for like weeks.
Wow.
Please don't make me have to make this decision. Like, make it crystal clear. And it was crystal fucking
Crystal clear. Right. It was like, these babies are coming out now.
right now.
There's no question about it.
Right now.
You don't get to decide. This isn't a choice.
Nope.
Like, we're done.
We're done. There would be no, and she was like, she almost laughingly was like, there's definitely no chance for a vaginal birth here, just so you know. Like, she even said those words. She's like,
Wow.
your body wouldn't be able to get through it. Yeah. So they were in the NICU
What
for
a story.
weeks. I didn't get to see them. They immediately whisked them away to the NICU, and they were 5 pounds and 5.5 pounds. So like they were pretty big
Wow.
for
Yeah.
34 weeks and 5 days. And Cameron
Totally.
and his on the CPAP for a little bit, and then had some like
Mhm.
there was some breathing stuff kind of through his younger years. But other than that, they were really healthy, and they just needed a little extra time for their lungs to develop. And I was really sick, so I was in the hospital for like a week, and then it was hard because I couldn't really spend time with them in the NICU because I was on so much medication, and I was kind of like in and out of consciousness. But when I went home, I'll never forget, like, so they were still in the NICU, and my doctor,
Mhm.
it's time for you to go home. You're
Mhm.
like, you're back to where we want you. I was like, I can't leave them here. And she was like,
Mhm.
you need to go home. You need to hug your boys. You need to have a good meal and sleep in your own bed and take a shower and you're like, do your thing, and then come
Mhm.
as their mother, not as a patient. And that was life-saving advice. Because that
Yeah.
hour when I got home and my boys
Oh.
ran out and they're like, and I just
Yeah.
sobbing, like so much, because it was such a big experience to unpack, and the hospital stay after. There were other things that happened. And when I took that shower the next morning, like where I really and like did my hair and put on my makeup, it was very emotional. And I just remember going into the NICU that next morning, like I still had assistance to walk and stuff, but I was like, what are we doing? How are they sleeping? How are they eating? Tell me the schedule. What's going on? I
Wow.
was able to come in with like new agency, not as a patient,
Wow.
but as like you can't breastfeed them that well. Like it was like when you are a patient in the NICU, it's like
Well, even like your mindset too, I'm sure.
exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel like incapable.
Right.
And
Oh my
then coming back, it was like a whole different vibe. And then I was like, hey, this is what we do. We wake up in the morning, we go to the NICU, we spend all day with them, we go home, sleep in our own bed. It allowed me to really get on top of like my pumping
Sure.
and that kind of stuff. And yeah. And then so going into like entrepreneurial stuff, that's what really
Yeah.
inspired Take 12. Because after all that, my company didn't have a maternity leave policy. So
How's that possible?
it's highly impossible. I mean, I had short-term disability, and I learned that 25% of women go back to work within 2 weeks of giving birth. Like you're still at risk of hemorrhaging at that point. Sorry, that's a horrible word to say on a parenting content. Like trigger warnings, but that's the reality.
Yeah, no, I'll put some trigger warnings out, but like,
Yeah.
no, we want the real stuff
Yeah.
because that's like so serious.
And I'm like, I'm a college educated sales manager leading multiple teams, good job,
Right.
da 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 da.
Right.
If this is affecting me, this is affecting everyone. And like I knew that, right? Like I knew because I had planned for maternity leave before in my past jobs. Like I knew that short-term disability only covered a certain percentage. I knew that the health insurance premiums were basically calculated right to the dollar amount that you'd have to pay out of pocket, $5,000 to $13,000, depending on how many babies you're popping out at a time. But I was so pissed because I was like, I'm getting the, so FMLA is what is all that this country has. We don't have federally supported maternity or parental leave in any form. But those 12 weeks of FMLA that you have the right to take are unpaid. And so who can actually take those 12 weeks that they're entitled to by law? No one. So because FMLA is really only just the job protection part that says they can't fire you. Okay. Yeah, so I was like, okay, so I've got this 60% pay for 8 weeks because I had a C-section, right? So it's 6 weeks for a vaginal birth, 8 weeks and then there's also that 1 week waiting period that insurance has, I'm like, what are we waiting for? Waiting for what? So it's really 5 weeks or 7 weeks at 60% of your pay.
Oh my.
But I was right in the middle of review season and I had premature birth. So I didn't even get paid at the rate that I would have if I would have been able to keep them in 4 days later with my pay increase, like, not right? And then like a year or so before that, one of my employees broke her ankle and it was really bad. Like it was an emergency, like she had surgery and stuff. But she didn't have to have the waiting period because it was an emergency. So I was like, that's so interesting that an emergency ankle breaking, like if Chris would have, as I was walking into the hospital to get diagnosed with emergency liver failure, if he would have taken a bat and just cracked my ankle, I would have had more short-term disability than the fact that I was on my deathbed because it was pregnancy related. And so it was just like one thing after another. I'm like, so you get more you get more leave, paid leave with a broken ankle in the United States than you do with an emergency birth. So at the same time, I had friends, bringing me incredible gifts and just being so kind and supportive. But I was like, man, I wish they could give me more time at home
Right. Like if there's anything I want, it's time.
and for my own body to recover and to like learn how to live with twins. But like,
Oh
you know what
my
I mean?
God.
So that's when I started Take 12 because I was like, how cool would it be if you could give people the gift of time instead of stuff that they don't need. So it was really a platform similar to like a crowdfunding, personalized like GoFundMe, where you could give monetary gifts, but then moms could also get information about how to navigate FMLA and paid leave and discounts for diapers and other resources. Um, but yeah, I'm still really passionate about moms, and I always have like mixed feelings around Mother's Day. I don't know if you coming up.
No,
There's
go. Tell me everything.
I can't. Mother's Day is such a weird holiday to me. Like as far as my own mother, I'm obsessed. Like I'm so grateful for her and she's amazing. And
Yeah.
so on the child side, I think it's important to have Mother's Day to honor your mother and to think of that
Mhm.
relationship and for everyone that's a mixed experience as well, right?
Of
Like
course. Yeah.
so for me, I'm fortunate enough to say that from that perspective, I think it's a lovely holiday. For a lot of people, it's just straight up painful in all directions. As a mother, I'm like, we don't really appreciate mothers. Like, we don't love moms. And then it's like this holiday that's like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do for Mother's Day? What do you want to? I don't know. I don't want to make any fucking decisions. Like, I just want to be left alone. And so I remember when the kids were little, I had a lot of Mother's Day where I have picture, like you talk about the pictures you take. I have a picture
Yes.
when they were younger and I was just in my bed, like crying. What am I crying about?
Mhm.
I don't know. Of course, I'm grateful to be a mom. Of course, obsessed with these um, children who are the most important thing that's ever happened to me. And yet I'm depleted and exhausted and fighting about brunch reservations, all because everybody feels like they need to for me, but it's like an inconvenience to that. Like, I don't know. The whole thing is just
Yes.
always mixed emotions. So this Mother's Day was great. I'm like, here's what I'm doing. I'm going to go shop and buy some plants and do some other stuff. And you guys can just do whatever, and if you wanna like, there's 0 expectations. I've removed
Mhm.
all expectations from Mother's Day, and it
Mhm.
really helped because I think that's where resentment comes from, I think, in this whole experience of mothering, is, like, anytime you put expectations on stuff, you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Oh, and I mean, if
Mm,
like we've said this a million times, a million ways, but if like there's one thing about like motherhood and parenthood, it's like you can't control it. So
abs
you're thinking it's going to be one way, it happens like the complete opposite. That is
constantly,
just like it's never a good
on
it's
repeat.
never a good combination.
Yep,
Yeah.
on repeat, and that's I think you said it in one of your other episodes too, like, these little babies come out with their own
Mhm.
individual personalities. I think that's the most
Mhm.
important thing to remember about expectations and about planning and everything. It's I've really learned, especially with teenagers too, which is a whole other piece, but just let them be who they are.
Yeah.
Like, what they have their own everything that they're bringing to the
Mhm.
and so I think it's our job to guide them and to help them figure out who they are, um, and to obviously, like, help them become a functioning member of society. That's what I always say to my kids. They're like, "Why can't I do that?" I'm like, "'Cause you have to learn how to be a functioning member of society. Like, you can't be a total psychopath, like, screaming at people in the middle of the street." I mean, I guess you could, but that's not what I would choose for you. Yeah, I just think, like, remembering that they are individual people with their own
Yeah. And it's so hard because I think
so hard.
well, okay, so the one, you have 4 kids. This is
Mhm.
like so incredible. You're already a superwoman. Your birth stories are incredible in so many ways, on so many layers.
Thank
The
you for
idea
letting
to
me share them too. I think that's really important space to
please.
hold. I love how women tell birth stories and I love listening to them. I think it's something we all bond over. So thank you for that.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, if it's trauma bonding, I'm sorry, but thank you for sharing it because it is
Yeah.
important to hear. And I think
Right.
there is a moment, especially for a new mom,
Mhm.
you're so focused on your birth,
Mhm.
you know, past that, it's kind of hard to see. And so you prepare and you whatever. And, you know, because it is such an intimate, life-changing experience. And to really never share it or to never talk about it or to only talk about it in small pockets or once in a while. Sometimes you do need that full breath of like, hey, this really happened to
Totally.
me, to our kids. Like that is like so critical. And that's kind of the point. And so what I want to kind of scratch at is, you know, you go through this birth and you yourself past that. You've not only carried two babies, but then your body's responding in a way that's like you have to recover from.
Mhm.
And then you have to recover from a C section and then recover from carrying two.
Right.
And then you have two kids at home. I can only imagine the frustration, anger, rage, unfair, like wanting to rip your hair out, screaming moment that like came that happened. Did you have that moment and I just assuming those things? Like talk to me about like that whole vibe.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. And I think rage is a huge part of motherhood because
Yeah.
there's this incredible, I think it's a part of learning more about this as I get older too. Like there's just this really powerful part of like feminine energy that is like very like we always say, oh, you're a warrior, you're like but like for real.
Yeah.
There's like
Yeah, I know.
real warrior energy that is incredibly powerful and it enables us to do what we do as mothers and as I mean, like, think of childbirth. It's like it takes you to the brink of
Mhm.
death, and then it's like the
Yeah.
most love you've ever felt.
Mhm.
Like, that's a
Yeah.
bizarre experience.
Mhm.
And the capacity that we have to hold those, like, 2 emotions right next to each other is so
Yes.
intense. I was outraged. I mean, I was devastated, right? It was, like, painful to be at home and, like, the clock was ticking.
Mhm.
And to be honest, I have had a crazy health journey since 2016. Like, that has
Okay.
just kind of continued as far like, my body it's taken my body years to recover from that experience.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I think one of the things about me I had a friend kind of bring it to my attention at one point because when I go through something tough or traumatic, I
Mhm.
like to take action
Mhm.
of, like, really I don't know, not instead of, I think I do process it, and I still sit with it and feel the feelings, but I also like to do something, like, take the
Right.
world around it,
Yep.
and that's how I felt after the twins were born, was just like, "This is not okay." Like, this is not like, we need women to be in the workforce desperately, and we need
Yeah.
women to bring humans into the world, like, why are we doing
Of course.
it didn't
Right.
make any sense to me at all. And again, it really was like that reflection of on paper, I have everything going for me.
Mhm.
And like we have to go into debt to pay like just the ability for me to stay home for 12 weeks with these babies and pay for all the hospital bills and like everything else. So yeah, that was really hard, but it was also of course really precious. You know, those two feelings
Mhm.
to each other like we would always just strap the babies on quite literally in our baby Bjorns and go on
Mhm.
pictures with the boys, and so we have all these
Yeah.
pictures of us, like, going on hikes and waterfalls and going on trips and just got the baby each of us has a baby strapped to us, and the little boys are, like so
So
I try
cute.
not to, and I think building Take 12, like building that company around it, around my experience, was very cathartic. And it allowed me to,
I bet.
with a ton of people, and to your point, tell my story,
Mhm.
and also help people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was
So
time.
so you had to, so the basis was kind of like to crowdfund longer time with your kids, which I think is so brilliant. I can't believe that actually people aren't doing that all the time.
Yeah. Well, they were doing it on GoFundMe, but it wasn't like a place. There was no place for them. It was more of like a apologetic-esque. It was
Oof.
what I was seeing out there was more
Yeah.
of this like forced victimhood.
Ugh.
I don't know what else to do. I'm turning to crowdfunding. So I wanted it to be
Right.
an empowering kind of gifting space. Like instead of the
Mhm.
300 0 to 3-month-old onesie that you're never going to use, I could really use those $12 to put in
Right.
the bank toward staying home.
Exactly. Okay, and that business has since closed, right?
Yeah, so I ran it for 4 years, and we got to the point
Wow.
where we were having discussions with companies about creating, kind of like an insurance product around it. So companies could bring on Take 12 to help as like a portal for their own internal policy, whether they
Mhm.
had one or not. Ooh, excuse me. I hit
Mhm.
so like the company that I had come from, for instance, could really use Take 12, even if
Right.
and they actually, I was able to be an integral part of advocating for a real maternity leave policy for that company. And they now have paid leave. By no means was Take 12 the end game for anyone. It was also to bring
Mhm.
awareness and help start these
Mhm.
conversations with companies of here's what this should look like. Here's what other companies are
Mhm.
doing. If you can't afford it, here's the minimal thing you could do is give this kind of
Mhm.
access portal to discounted products, to
Mhm.
gifting platforms. So when you throw the
Mhm.
baby shower, you kind of put your efforts toward this to empower your employees
Mhm.
to take the time that they're entitled to by law. So
Mhm.
really wanted to work with insurance brokers and create that product that would have been at that point, I would have needed to raise more money. And
Mhm.
also at that time, my health started going crazy. I had like an
Mhm.
emergency appendectomy. They found a blood
Oh my god.
ovarian vein, like just like
Oh
weird,
my gosh,
kind of one
Margie.
of those moments where it was like, okay, stop.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah.
I just had this feeling of time to put this down. Like I'm
Mhm.
at the risk of my own health and what it would take to raise the money to get it to that next stage. It's
Uh-huh.
lived its life. It had helped a lot of people and it had done a lot of great things.
Mhm.
I was on CNN at one point, Dove Men Plus Care,
Ah,
the whole like Father's Day campaign with us where they gifted
wow.
$30,000 across our platform to like unexpected.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like, it was all good, right? And so, like, when we
Yeah.
talk about entrepreneurial venture,
Yeah.
failure versus not failure, like, in the end, I was shut down, right? It was a failed startup, but was it really a failure? Of course not.
Not at all. Yeah.
And, what again, like, I keep bringing it back to, like, God's timing, but that realization for me happened in January of 2020.
Oh,
If in hindsight, if I had spent those 3 months raising
wow.
$1 million and building a product that I had to go sell to HR companies in 2020 who were laying off all of the like it would
Yes.
have it would have been a much larger
Yes.
failure at that point,
Yeah.
because then it would have been a lot of money at stake, and there's no way. There's no way
Right.
there was no I mean, there was no space for that conversation in 2020.
No.
And even if you think about it, I mean, my advocacy started in 2016. Plenty of people have been talking about paid leave since way before that.
Of
We're in
course.
2025 and we
We're still talking about it.
still don't have paid leave.
Yeah.
So that just
Yeah.
give you some insight like that. It would have fallen flat to say the least.
Yeah. In
It's
fact, you could argue that we're in a worse place than we were in 2016.
yes, a million times.
Yeah. Okay, so that is incredible labor of love, and obviously it did great things. Now you were also working full time though too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God. In the
I
male
realized never gonna
dominant.
not be that person. Like I people are like, "You're crazy." Like even with Viiq, like even the work that we're doing now, there's another job that some people I'd consulted for are asking me to, I'm like going back to help with their company and a pretty active role. And just I can't not. Like
Yeah.
I was listening to, is it Emma Greed? Greed? I forget her.
Yes.
The founder.
Yes.
I love
The founder of American
Good.
or All American.
Good.
Good American, yes.
I've just been on a binge. Like I'm her new, like she's
I
my new
know.
girl.
She's everywhere. Yeah.
But I love that she is the founder and CEO of Good American. She's also the chief product officer of Skims. Right. So these are huge companies that she has multiple active roles on. And it comes down to the same real like things, right? It's like leading a team, having a clear vision, like being able to
Yep.
communicate it, manage setting boundaries, like doing all so like I'm just so grateful for her as a thought leader in kind of the entrepreneurial space because I think more of us are wired that way than not. Like
Yeah.
who are starting things and who are leading things. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like Viiq is my passion and taking on other projects and other jobs or whatever is really exciting to me. And people will be like, well, how are you splitting your time? What percentage? I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, I just promoted myself to an 80-hour work week. Like, the percentage is not 100%. It's like, it's more like 70-60 split of time. And it's not for everyone. And there's the other piece of me. It doesn't mean I subscribe to like the hustle culture either. I just feel like my brain is wired in its own way. And that's just, so yes, I worked full time. I managed 3 teams and I had a startup that I ran for 4 years. And and I have to tell you, this is like just popped into my head, but you're gonna die.
Tell me everything.
I worked with Every Mother Counts, Christy Turlington's company, which is
Yes.
help improve birth outcomes all over the world. And she has this Mother's Day event. And I had been talking to their team and they invited me to this event in New York for Mother's Day. And it was awesome. And Leslie Blodgett was there.
Stop.
I went up to Leslie. I have a picture.
You did?
Afterward, yeah. I'm going to text you. And I was like, Leslie, no, you're going to die. I was like,
please tell me everything.
I'm like, Leslie, hi, my name is Margi Scott. Like I was talking about girl fan. And I was like, I don't know if you remember, but you came to visit our Bare Essentials store in the Mall of America in 20 whatever year that was.
Oh
And
God, what
I was
year
like,
was that?
and Elsa was our store manager, and we presented you with gifts. Where I brought a pine branch, Northern Minnesota, because I was like,
Yes.
this is white pine, and it's indigenous to Minnesota, and it has a very high level of resveratrol, and just like your skincare, and like I don't even know what connection I was trying. She was like, yes. I totally remember you. I totally remember that trip, and you guys were so creative and so awesome. And we took a selfie together. And then she was like, reach out to me about Take 12. I'd be happy to chat. And so we had like a couple back and forths and stuff. She was amazing. Like also a die.
I am already dead right now.
Leslie, wherever you are, drop everything.
Drop it now.
Come visit the circus right now.
Please.
Immediately.
Dude.
So
that is crazy.
Yeah. So I did both things and I loved it. And again, I think that's just like the way my ADHD brain is wired. Like I tend to do better with more on my plate than just like, here's your one project. Go.
I love that.
I love the variety and I really thrive in that. Yeah.
I love that. And I think that's one of the things that you're saying so well is it's like you find what it works for you and then you go for it. And I think for me, I thought I had maybe wanted something. And then as I was going for it, it wasn't quite the right fit. And for you, I mean, you have 4 kiddos, you're, thinking of all these creative ideas, you're, doing your thing. Do you subscribe to, or do you even think about this idea of like mom guilt, or do you even think of like this idea of like, oh, I need to spend more time here or there? Is there any of that? What's your thought
Yeah.
around those things?
So it's kind of both. So I don't subscribe to mom guilt, but also I acknowledge that it's real.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there is anything wrong with making choices for yourself as a whole human. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, as a parent, that comes into that is part of the equation. It's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing for me, like as work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
Work-life balance is bullshit, right? There's no
Mm-hmm.
such thing. It's all your life. People are like, oh
Yeah.
yes, work-life integration. I'm like, that's the same thing. Like there's no balance. There's just,
Mm-hmm.
to your point, there's just what works for you and for your family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I talk to my kids regularly about my work and about
Mm-hmm.
what's important to me. And I try to have that open dialogue and also be completely present for them. So and again, this is just for me, if I was a
Mm-hmm.
stay-at-home mom and around my children all the
Mm-hmm.
time, I already know because 2020 taught me, confirmed this hypothesis.
Right.
I would have nothing to give. Like
Mm-hmm.
it, the way that I can fill my own cup is
Mm-hmm.
by working on my own
Mm-hmm.
projects and my own creative things and feeling that contribution and that sense of self through the work that I'm doing and the way that I'm taking care of myself. I
Yeah.
love it is very important to me that my children see me as a present mom who's around as well.
Yeah.
And so
Mm-hmm.
that is the part that I just have to be very conscious of. Like I had my daughter the other day because with Viiq as a new baby brand, we're doing a lot of events, a lot of
I'm sure.
activations,
Yeah.
and she's 9 years old and she's like 9 going on 25. And she's mom, when are we going to have a girls' day? And I'm like, do you mean a girls' day or do you just want to go shopping? She's like, well, yeah, I want to.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, we can't, because I'm like, we went on a girls' day the other day, but it wasn't the mall experience that she was hoping for. It was friends. I'm like,
Cute.
you don't mean getting your nails done. You mean like going to Sephora. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Cool.
And I'm like, well, I'm not going to probably be able to do that until like 2 weekends from now, but we can
Mm-hmm.
do a mall trip, but you're not in need of anything right now. And she goes, okay, mom. And she like took a very dramatic pause and she's like, I just want you to know that this job is really starting to feel like your last job.
Oh.
Okay, back up, come back into the room. Let's have this conversation. I'm like, because on my last job, I was getting on an airplane and traveling and flying. And that was after a certain amount of time hard on everyone. And
Yep.
the twins specifically were younger and
Mm-hmm.
it was hard on her. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's okay that that was hard on you. And I appreciate that. And I don't want us to be in that place again. But this job is nothing like the old job, so it's like we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about with childbirth. You get this narrative stuck in your head. And so with them, I just work on I understand it's disappointing that I'm not here, but like I'm it's also funny to me because it's like I work remotely a lot. So I'm home
Mm-hmm.
a lot more than they like in the 90s, like when it was like you showed up at work at
Right. Right.
until 6 o'clock. I'm like, I came home for dinner at 6:45 every night, put down the briefcase, evening news, went back
Right.
to the
There's no email, there's no texting, there's none of
office.
that. Yeah.
And
You're
they
done.
were bound to this physical space called their office.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at all the school events. Chris and I do a great job of balancing the sporting events. Like I'm there in the afternoon if they need to get picked up from school. Like the amount that I'm there is so much more than they realize. It's
Yeah.
that the time that I'm not there is like glaring and obvious. And this is mostly for the
Right.
younger ones. My older kids are very well adapted and So it's just an ongoing honest conversation with them and with myself. Like, okay, am I gone too much? Like, what is it looking like?
Mhm.
But I think I can't say that there's any sort of stringent rules that could ever be set that would make sense for us to like abide by or stick to, other than we have to all know that we're like there for each other and supporting each other, and that everyone is clear on what's going on.
I love that. So tell us about Viiq.
Yeah. So
Because I love it.
I love Viiq too. So Viiq is
So how are you in it? I need like the details around this, like all of it. How did it come to be?
Mhm.
How was it birthed? How was it born? Where are we now? All that stuff.
Yeah. So I left the liquor industry in 2024, January of 2024. And it was like the industry I'd been in for 13 years. And like,
Wow.
and I know there's other women out there who are like, they're in that job that you feel like you can't leave because you've put so much time into it, and the benefits are good and the pay is good. And there's all these reasons you
Mhm.
should stay. But it was time for me to like take my next step. And there were some transitions happening at the company. And so I was like, okay, I think this is where we part ways. And so I left
Mhm.
that industry in January. Um, and the second, I'm talking like the day it was my last day, I went to a happy hour with my friend Ashley. She's like, come to this event. It's some like law firm event. And it was like reconnected with this person, reconnected with this person. This person introduced me to it was like everybody showed up that like I was not even like, it's like I had my blinders on when I was at that other role. And then all of a sudden I was like, what am I going to do now? And then I was like, here you go. Like you can work with this
Wow.
company and this team and these people and meet this guy. And it was like, thank God, those leaps are really tricky to take. But when you feel like you can't be yourself, when you feel like a part of your soul is dying in a job that you feel
Yeah.
obligated to stay in, like it's so worth the risk of just like making the next move. So that was 2024 for me. It was awesome. And I got to do a lot of great consulting projects and help get some different companies off the ground and just kind of spread my wings as far as like what I had to offer. And one of the companies I was consulting with had a farm that they had grown hemp on after the 2018 Farm Bill, and they were looking to move some raw materials, basically. Like, what do we do with this stuff?
Mhm.
And I had also been consulting with a THC company, and I saw that like the market was women. Like the
Mhm.
market, especially in Minnesota, we have a huge drink market, like THC
Mhm.
cannabis drinks.
Yeah, you
And
do.
and everyone was quietly like, I'm moving over to THC because we're all drinking too much. Like we're all impaired.
So, like
Yeah.
yeah, so like drinking too much like wine, like cocktails,
Yeah.
all of that, and then you make the switch to the THC stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was like this
Love it.
mommy wine culture that is so
Mhm.
prevalent. And like
Yep.
my friends and I were always talking about like, we're drinking too much. We're having these symptoms and I had started perimenopause when I was 36.
What?
Yeah. Like heavy bleeding,
Wow.
really big mood disturbances, like my PMDD symptoms were through the roof. And basically I was like put on birth control and like told it's normal and put on antidepressant.
Gross.
And
Oh my
so
gosh.
then my drinking increased because I like couldn't function. Ended up getting a uterine ablation for like to help control the bleed. Like it was like this whole
Oh
thing.
my
But
god.
what I was putting together was like, okay, there are women experiencing perimenopause now in their late 30s,
Mhm.
and they're all drinking too much, and they're all turning to THC and CBD because it helps. Like it helps relieve
Mhm.
some of these symptoms and not help you not like whereas alcohol is making you more inflamed and making you feel like crap and having
Mhm.
hangovers and stuff like that. This was like a really interesting path away from it. And so I had encouraged this company that I was working with, like, we should market toward women, like 35 to 65. And
Mhm.
they were like, yeah, we're kind of like the EDM crowd. Like, we don't really want to go that way. I was like, okay, like, that's fine. And so but I remember, like, I had made a real mental note, and so then when these guys were trying to figure out what to do with their farm, I was like, there's a brand here, and, like, we could white label it and try to pitch it to a shop and see if they wanted to, like, make their own, but, like, there's a real opportunity to, like, help the people who are actually using this stuff understand it better and create a more specific application to help relieve symptoms. And they're like, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it." So I am the founder and CEO of Viiq, and we help to make like hemp-derived and botanical botanicals and gummies to help ease symptoms of perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. And all of our topicals are whole plant. We grow them in an organic farm in Otsego, Minnesota. The other ingredients that we use in our topicals are all botanicals that we do all the macerations ourselves. So we take whole plant, whole flower, and we cook it in like low and slow in MCT oil, and we make these giant teas, like literally like holding cheesecloth and like squeezing out all the goodies.
Wow.
And everything's made in small batch. And the topicals are our joint rollers, which help with muscle pain, tension, joint pain, cramps, backaches, sciatica, hot flashes. We've tested them on all of these things. And then we have our balm, which is super velvety and soft, and it's kind of like it's great for after sun. I use it for migraine prevention when I can feel that pain in the back of my neck. I reach
Ooh.
there right away. Yeah, it's so yummy. And then we have our new massage and sauna oil. We also have bath soaks that are to die for.
I'm dying to try that.
Yeah, the bath soaks are so good. And then our gummies are all microdose gummies with additional cannabinoids and adaptogenic ingredients. So what we wanted to do is create a whole experience so that these gummies would really do what they say they're going to do without getting people super high, basically. Because
Totally. Yeah.
a lot of bad experiences, especially that women have with THC, is around dosing. And we just have more sensitive, many of us, not all of us, because it's an individualized thing, but our endocannabinoid system, which is the system in our body that regulates all other systems, is what receives those cannabinoids from hemp, from THC, and it's why they work so effectively. But if you're overdoing it with THC, which means different things to everyone,
Yeah.
you can have a bad experience. And so coupling THC with other cannabinoids helps to round out that experience. So our Rage Cage gummy, which is a fan favorite,
Oh.
is
Okay, wait. I need to show.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Oh, so good.
So good. I have it right here. It's sitting at my desk.
I'm
I'm like, oh, I'm raging right now. Better take one. Bing.
So it's 2.5 milligrams of THC, 25 milligrams of CBD, L-theanine, ashwagandha, and passion flower. And so all really awesome, like natural anti-anxiety ingredients, very calming. And we've also found helps for people who wake up in the middle of the night with night sweats, like me. I wake up that it's a good sleep gummy for the people who wake up in the middle of the night because it helps to kind of tame those cortisol spikes that happen where you wake up and you're like, who did I offend in grade school? Oh my God. It's like, what did I say? What did I say at that meeting 12 years ago? Oh my God. Everybody hates me. Like it's really.
Yeah, totally.
And then Nightcap is our sleep gummy, and that's the one that's going to help you go to sleep. And it is like someone's pulling the blinds down on your eyelids.
It's amazing. It's amazing. That one I have tried like 4 nights in a row, and I'm like, I don't think I ever cannot have this because it's literally amazing.
I agree, and thank you. But my sleep score every time I have like the Rincon thing, and every time I use that, I'm like, I never have excellence unless I never get the excellent score unless my Nightcap. Yeah. And it's the CBN. It has THC, CBN, valerian root, and tart cherry. And it tastes so yummy.
So good. It is so yummy. I can't believe how good it is.
Thank you. Oh, I love
I know.
it's
Oh my gosh.
that was the other
No,
thing. I
I'm
came from the
obsessed.
wine world, and
Right.
so I'm like, these have to be the best tasting gummies on the market because a lot of gummies that are out there, and they're all fine, but a lot of them
Mhm.
kind of rinse and repeat. There's some major manufacturers who just so like the blue raspberry gummy is going to be the same blue raspberry like this. So I work with a manufacturer in Minnetonka, and he's become a partner really of mine in this, and he's fantastic. So when I have a new idea, he'll source all the ingredients and put them all out on the table, and we're just like tasting everything. Like we wanted to put ginseng. I wanted to put ginseng and dialed in originally, and we both tasted it. We're like, well, it tastes like dirt. We're not, we're not using that. So we really are thoughtful into like those flavor profiles. And so dialed in is our focus gummy. It helps for brain fog, and
Mhm.
which is a major issue of mine through perimenopause. And so it has the THC, CBG, 10 milligrams of CBG, which is like a mood lifting, kind of stimulating cannabinoid, and then L-theanine, ginkgo biloba, and kanna, which are great again for that like anti-anxiety, but also focus, kind of get you dialed in.
Yeah.
And we're coming out
Ugh.
with a new one in June.
Stop.
Yeah, and it's gonna be the last of our gummies for a while. It'll complete
Mhm.
the lineup. It'll be our party gummy
Ooh.
and, like, kind of energizing to actually
Mhm.
get you not feeling so exhausted all the time, and it's gonna be mango, saffron, goji berry, and Thai chili or chili pepper, a little,
Oh my god. Sounds amazing.
and it's gonna be called Tits Up
I love it. Very appropriate.
because 'cause I'm a big Maisel fan. And what other like, that's the best, like,
Oh,
rally
so good.
cry. But
Oh, it
yeah,
is.
we're hoping to work with a local breast cancer foundation to do some give back on that one too. So,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
so lots of
Oh my gosh,
exciting stuff.
Margie. That's so exciting. That is so exciting. So when did you guys launch? Because I feel like this is semi-new.
It's new. Yeah, it's new. So
Yeah.
that conversation, and again, it's just like the way I think things work when you start taking those kind of trusting steps, like
Mhm.
that conversation of like, hey, there's a brand here to be had, like that
Mhm.
in September.
Wow.
So we launched in
Wow.
February. It's been like
Wow.
jumped.
That is really
Yeah,
fast.
I dove head first right into it. And they had already been working with a botanist on some of the
Mhm.
recipes. So it was just a matter of like kind of getting our production organized and understanding what the line was going to look like. And luckily I had a really great marketing partner and my friend Adam, who we worked on another brand with on the consultancy side. And he's just brilliant when it comes to design and everything. Like, so he did all the packaging and all of
That's so
the
good.
branding, and yeah, he just knocked it out of the park. So yeah,
It's so
it's
good.
so much fun. It is so much fun. And I love going to shows. I mean, it's not unlike Take 12, and it's not unlike
Right.
the working in the cosmetics industry or any, and it's like
Right.
being able to like hear people's stories and like
Mhm.
give them something that's actually like going to change their experience is everything. It's the
Yeah.
most rewarding thing. And we were at a show over the weekend in Brainerd, and two different women I was having conversations with. By the end, we're both just like sobbing and hugging, and then I like send them on their way with their gummies, and the rest is history. It's just like what a blessing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I am so in awe of you, truly, Margie. And when I think about our time together, I think of like the shiniest light in the whole world, the funniest, brightest, lightest type of a being. And for you to be able to put in like love, sweat, and tears into this and everything you do, I think is fearless and just absolutely inspiring.
Thank you. That means everything coming from you.
Yeah, girl.
Seriously.
It's pretty awesome.
I'm really grateful that we reconnected. I'm so excited. Yeah. I just know, like, I'm telling you, people, like, if Elsa's involved, it's going to be an empire. Like, there's no, no other way. But
There is no other way. Yeah, exactly. There is no other way.
There's no other
Oh
way.
my God.
I think the through line for me of all of mothering and business and creating things is just, it's really important for me that women know that they're not alone. I feel like a lot of this, all of these different things, all of these different kind of parts of our journey can feel very isolating, and you're just not alone. You're just not. Like,
No.
and you don't need to be scared. Like, even I sometimes am reticent to, like, tell my birth story with even with Charlie. So you're telling me in order to pop a baby out, I have to be induced for 15 hours? Like, no, it's just like
Mhm.
we all have our own story and we all have
Mhm.
different perspectives to bring. And yours is important. Like, your story is important and you are not alone. And it also doesn't have to define you, like
Love
these
that.
separate sections of your journey, like traumatic birth and fertility journeys. Like, there's a lot that goes into
Yes.
all of this. And it can be a moment in time that, like, contributes to your greater story, but, like, surviving those moments also gets you to something bigger. And I'm still learning all of that, but I just think that it's very easy to get stuck in the trauma or in the pain of of all these little parts and pieces, and, like,
Yeah.
really beautiful that we learn from our entire journey. So you're not alone.
This is what and that's exactly what I'm saying is
Yeah.
because you, you know, we are living in a world where, at least in the US, where we don't feel like a mother's journey is supported in a way that looks good for her.
Mhm.
So it doesn't have to be, she stays at home and does all this stuff. It doesn't have to be she comes to this awakening and starts a brand and is now like the golden girl of all the business.
No.
It is a winding, crazy road with cliffs and bumps and all of this kind of stuff. And oftentimes that is in the shadows. And for whatever reason, we have been living in a world where that is shamed. And like, that's not going to happen anymore. We're not doing that anymore.
No, because even yeah, you're absolutely right. Even in the moments of, say, homeschooling your kids, like raising you're at home all the time, like there's all kinds of shadows, to your point, to that experience. Starting a
Yes.
business where you're obviously showing the highlight reels on social media.
Yes.
There's a ton of
Yes.
loneliness and shadows in that. And so it's
Yes.
really, we don't have time for the undersupported bullshit anymore. And the same goes with perimenopause. Like, and that's what's interesting is, like, Viiq in a lot of ways feels like an evolution from Take 12
Totally.
because
Oh my gosh. I was just
yeah,
thinking that as you were talking. I was like, it's so crystal clear as an outsider to see
so
all of your talents and passions and like everything live. It's beautiful.
thank you. But I mean, it's that same vibe of, like,
Mm-hmm.
there are days where I am ready to, like, evacuate and, like, evict my entire family. Get out.
Yeah.
Everybody out of my house. I'm living on my own now. But, like, and just the exhaustion and the aches and pains and and, like, you start to not recognize your own mind and your own body.
Yes.
And all of that is real. Like, that's actually
Yeah.
happening. Like, our chemical makeup
Mm-hmm.
is changing. Our systems are moving from fertility and procreation to wisdom and passing on information. And what an incredible transformation. And it doesn't need to be cloaked in it's normal. You'll figure out how to deal with it. We've all just,
Mm-hmm.
like, figure it out. It's normal. Like, and what? Since when? Like, if dudes went through
Right.
perimenopause, there would be a cure for perimenopause somehow.
Well, yeah. And like similar talking about like walking through, that like little phase as are with young kids or
Mhm.
like you're, first experiencing that moment is like this is a moment of intense transition
Right.
and evolution.
Right.
That should be celebrated,
Yes.
not downgraded. That
Right.
should be a gift that you look forward to, knowing that it will come with its challenges. But on the other side, or as you go through it, there is beauty all around you. And the fact that we sit here and tell you that like, you're going to gain weight, you're going to feel awful, you're ugly now, you're not like the, womanly anymore, whatever is happening in that dialogue, it is so wrong. And like, these companies that you're building in this time, you're exactly right. We're looking for the pivot that isn't about failing as a woman. It's what are we celebrating as being this vessel that gets to go through all of these transitions in our lives.
Totally. And I wrote something and I didn't end up posting it on Mother's Day. And it was just about that. My grandmother, I never got to meet my grandmother because she died at 43 years old. And she had her own demons and was drinking alcohol and whatever. But I'm like, when I think of what I know about her story, I'm like, I totally get it.
Right.
Like, I get it. Like when you don't have, and it was
right.
When you don't have the space or the freedom to process trauma or the resources to reach out to people and to understand what your options are and you feel trapped, like I think it's easier for society to keep women in that place because it's so, what we go through is so big. And that's that warrior mentality too. Like it's very powerful. And that when you get into kind of like communion with other women, when you go to events and women are like, I went to this one event at my friend Allie's house, who's a founder of a really cool company called Bebley Box. And she had it was like a Galentine's Day party. And I was there to talk about Viiq, and there was a cardiologist there to talk about women's heart health. And like, it was just a really cool, but she got up to introduce people. And 2 minutes into her speaking, women are like sobbing and crying and hugging. And it's like, it's so powerful though.
I know.
It's so powerful. Like you can't think of a gathering of, and I love guys, right? Like I love dudes. Like this is not like a dude shaming thing, but it's a unique energy that women carry to be able to create this intense connection and to be able to see the issue and the solution all in one place, and then to help her feel heard and held and supported and like to lift each other up and to start things and to grow things and to birth things. It's this whole huge power that I think historically it's just way easier if it's just like kept in a bubble.
Yeah.
And so I'm just so excited to be in a place where I can really live that authentically and like not have to be who I'm not. Like when I show up for work in the morning, that is a real honor. But also I'm just excited for what's possible for women in business and mothering and childbirth. It's not 2008 anymore. I'm not the only one I know who's pregnant. It's not just me and Jessica Alba anymore. It's a whole, there's this whole huge community. And I mean, gosh, it feels like a million years ago, but yeah, it's like almost 20 years ago, which is absurd. 16 years ago that.
I refuse to believe that.
There's no way. But because I'm still 25, that's what's weird.
Same.
But it's just different. Like the amount of progress we've made in a short amount of time. So we have to remember that like it has to start with us all coming together and not isolating and not othering each other, but really like doing it for each other, with each other.
Yes. Mic drop.
I can't because I just bought this cute little mic. But look at this.
It's so cute. I love it. Why is it glowing? That's really cute.
I know. It's so cute. So yeah, mic drop if it weren't so cute.
Oh my God, babe. Thanks for your time. I'm like dead. I'm dead over everything.
I adore you.
You are just crushing it out there.
Thanks for listening to It's a Circus. If today's episode made you feel a little less alone, share it with a friend who might need it too. We are building something amazing at the Turner Brothers Circus, an entire space designed for parents to find connection, laughter, and support. I'd love for you to be a part of it. Remember, you're doing better than you think. Stay grounded, stay real, and embrace that beautiful mess. And as always, the show must go on. Until next time.